With the release of the Zariman, we've got the new Gyre Warframe, Incarnon Weapons, Zariman Arcanes, Alternox, Hespar and Aeolak. That's a bunch of new rewards to gather, leaving some people wondering just how long that'll take. So I asked the community for your mission times, wrote a couple programs, and figured out just that. I'm TheKengineer, let's solve a practical problem. Now there's a lot of RNG in farming on the Zariman, and many different ways to go about it which will affect your personal results. Much of the data backing this video was submitted by the community, many thanks to those of you who helped out on that. If you want to see more as to how I go about these kinds of missions, you should check out my live streams at twitch.tv/TheKengineer, live 3 days a week. Across the various things to farm on the Zariman, many drops can be acquired either at the same time or through the same method. I'll go over farming different rewards individually at first, and then we'll wrap up with the combined farm. Let's start with Gyre. Gyre parts need to be actively farmed by selecting the appropriate bounties. You need to run tier 1, 2 and 3 bounties for the new optics, chassis and systems, and then a choice of tier 4 or 5 bounties for the main blueprint. Accounting for the drop rates, here's the breakdown of chances around getting a Gyre set within a given number of bounties. The optimal bounty to run for Gyre would be an exterminate. By doing 4-minute exterminates, this comes out to an average farm time for Gyre of around 2 hours with those ideal bounties, with most of everyone done in 5 hours or less, again with the ideal bounties. If you're running longer missions, like Armageddon bounties, this will take longer. The average Armageddon bounty submitted to me by the community was just over 14 minutes, more than tripling the farming times I've given here. However, even if you're able to get the blueprint faster than average, you'll then encounter a resource bottleneck against your good luck. Actually building Gyre requires a mix of resources, including Thrax Plasm, Entrati Lanthorns, and Void Plume Quills. For people like me who've already done a lot of the Zariman content, these resources can seem plentiful, not so much when you've only just got to the Zariman. From my experience, Entrati Lanthorns with no boosters drop around once every 2 exterminates. With 12 Lanthorns needed for Gyre, that sets a soft minimum of 24 missions right there. Gyre also requires 1100 Thrax Plasm, acquired roughly 5 at a time from the Thrax units. You can get about 10 Thrax Plasm per minute from Void Cascade, or about 20 in 4 minutes of Exterminate for roughly 5 per minute. So that's either 55 runs of Exterminate or a couple hours of Void Cascade to get the necessary Thrax Plasm. Again, in my experience, Exterminate is still the better source of Lanthorns to go alongside the Plasm farm. Without any boosters then, this means the fastest you can farm Gyre is going to be in a couple hours, and most likely closer to 4 hours. If you get lucky in acquiring the blueprint sooner, you'll still need to spend time gathering the resources, but at least you'll be free to pick a different mission to farm rather than more Gyre part bounties. So that's Gyre finished, how about farming the weapons? The Incarnon Weapons will almost be a freebie once you farm Gyre. The Laetum has incredibly low requirements, while the Felarx and Praedos are mostly just locked behind the Holdfast rank more than any resources. The Innodem and Phenmor, however, are a little bit more expensive, requiring 15 Entrati Lanthorns each. As mentioned before, that's very roughly another 30 exterminate runs each for the necessary resources. In the main though, the Incarnon Weapons avoid most RNG, giving you a more reliable expectation of how long it's going to take to unlock them, with 30 exterminates being roughly 2 hours. If you make use of resource boosters and extractors, you can noticeably reduce this total grind time. The remaining 3 weapons you can pick up then are the Alternox, Aeolak and Hespar. The Alternox is the simplest of the 3. Just acquire the blueprint from a tier 3 bounty and then you build it once you have the resource requirements. Just like with Gyre, there's a very good chance you'll end up getting the blueprint before you gather enough resources. With 16 Entrati Lanthorns required, clocking in around 32 exterminates needed without boosters, over 90% of players will get the blueprint before being ready to construct it. Once again, I recommend trying to focus on exterminate bounties for that Lanthorn drop rate. Now as for the Hespar and Aeolak, they are less forgiving. Not only do these two have main blueprints farmable only from different bounties, they also have parts blueprints farmed only from rotation C of the endless missions on the Zariman. Let's look at the 2 weapons independently then. The Aeolak has 3 parts and the main blueprint. The stock and receiver can be farmed simultaneously as they both drop from rotation C of Void Flood, while the barrel drops only from rotation C of Void Cascade. The blueprint itself is a tier 5 bounty reward, although for optimal farming, you can choose to only do that bounty whilst it's either on Void Flood or Void Cascade, whichever you still need to do to get the missing parts. By doing it that way, there's only a 10% chance you'll need to run extra bounties for the blueprint by the time you've got all of the parts. For the average person then, doing the most efficient missions they can, getting all the Aeolak blueprints will take just shy of 5 hours across 21 missions. During that time, you'll most likely have obtained all the Zariman material to build the Aeolak as well. As for the Hespar, it actually takes longer, despite only having 2-part blueprints rather than 3. The reason for this is the Hespar Blade. It's dropped from Rotation C of Void Armageddon, the longest of all Rotation Cs to get to on the Zariman. Not only that, only a few bounties actually let Void Armageddon get to Rotation C. If you complete the bounty objective before finishing round 4 of Armageddon, the mission will just force you out regardless. Sometimes you can stick around, but I've run the numbers assuming that a tier 4 Armageddon bounty with a favourable bounty condition simply doesn't come up for you. For the Hespar then, this means an average time to farm of 6 hours for the parts and main blueprint. This takes into account the nearly 40% chance that you'll get the handle before you get the main blueprint, and then only running the much quicker exterminate bounties to try and get the blueprint later. If you choose to run slower missions, this will take longer in game, but it also means less waiting around for that ideal bounty. With the weapons all done, the final type of gear to unlock on the Zariman are the Arcanes. How many Arcanes you'll have gained so far depends on just how much farming you've done. Again, we'll look at the Arcanes independently at first. The Arcanes can be attained in 4 ways: killing Thrax units, killing Dormant Void Angels, killing Ravenous Void Angels, or from Cavallero. You don't need to kill him, he sells them. For the enemy drops, Arcanes are considered mods, and therefore are affected by mod drop chance boosters. Running with a mod drop chance booster, such as from a Saucy, will give your whole squad double the rates. You can also get double rates by running on the Steel Path. Stacking these two together, for example, will give a 100% drop rate of Arcanes from Dormant Void Angels. So let's say you speed through an exterminate mission, killing 4 Thrax and a Dormant Angel in 4 minutes. This comes out to an average of 0.9 Arcanes per run on the Steel Path without a booster, or around 13 to 14 Arcanes per hour. You will also pick up between 5,000 and 10,000 standing from Void Plumes, depending on if you also turn in accolades to Cephalon Malika, and that's worth another 1 to 2 more Arcanes per run. With both accolades turned in, the effective rate of Arcanes increases to between 28 and 44 per hour, depending on which Arcanes you actually buy from Cavallero. As an alternative to running the Steel Path, you can also be doing exterminate bounties, which reward you with additional Void Plume quills for standing, at the expense of a lower drop rate for Arcanes from Thrax and Angels. Doing it that way instead, with the average bounty being 3 quills, this would give an average exterminate bounty 0.45 Arcanes per run and 17,500 standing, worth very roughly 2 to 3 more Arcanes. This method comes out to between 33 and 59 Arcanes per hour, depending on which ones you purchase. The serious limiting factor here though is the daily standing limit. Even at Legendary 2, with a 32,000 standing cap per day, an hour of 15 tier 3 exterminate bounties will still take over a week to trade in, even if you miss a couple Cephalon Malika consoles. By fully utilising your Void Plumes, you can max out all of the Arcanes in very roughly 100 bounties. If you only want a specific Arcane, you can max out any one of them in under an hour of bounties, followed by just turning in the needed Void Plumes each day until you're done. Now everything I've gone through here probably seems like a lot of farming. Well, it is, but my point is it's not as much as just adding all of these different farms together. Because many things overlap, like being able to farm a Gyre blueprint, Aeolak parts and Arcane simultaneously, the total time needed to complete the Zariman as it were is actually a bit lower. I ran a simulation of someone farming everything from scratch. That's all the weapons, Arcanes, a Gyre set, on top of getting all the Enchanted Lanthorns, Plasm and Void Plumes you need to actually make everything. I ran this simulation 140,000 times over, with the underlying assumption that this player tries to do the most optimal farm they can. No pointless Armageddon bounties here. As it turns out, averaging across 140,000 runs, it comes to just shy of 18 hours to get everything on the Zariman. The lowest simulated time was about 16 hours, and the longest simulated run was 51 hours. So farming Gyre on her own is almost as lengthy as farming Cora when you account for the resources you need to. While getting Gyre, all the weapons, and just the most powerful Arcanes takes about as long as it does to farm Ash. Maybe a little bit longer. I hope this gives you a good idea as to just how much time you can expect to spend to unlock everything on the Zariman. This is all based on an optimised approach. As much as I've been talking about doing exterminate missions all the way, I recommend doing the missions you actually enjoy, rather than just waiting for what's optimal. As much as it'll take longer, it will avoid burnout. In any case, that's all from me for now though, so as always, run bounties, farm gear, and fight well, Tenno.